Let's deal with a story that is being developing from late yesterday night. That is from Bayelsa State, the judgment coming from an Abuja court relating to the APC candidate in Bayelsa State, which has been disqualified from the race ahead of the November 11 governorship election. Mr. Timipre Sylva, Justice Okorowo ruled that Sylva, having been sworn in twice and served 5 years as governor of the state, will breach the 1999 constitution as amended if allowed to contest again. The judge also declared that Sylva was not qualified to run in the November poll because if he wins and is sworn in, he would spend more than 8 years in office as governor of the state. Meanwhile, we've been getting some reactions coming from the APC. Earlier today, the APC chairman in Bayelsa State was at a presidential villa and has responded and perhaps giving us an inclination on what the decision of the APC in that state would be in reaction to the court's judgment. Take a listen to him.
Well, it's unfortunate that judgment, but we can say that it is democracy in action. But we learned that the person who took the issue to the court of law is not even qualified because he did not contest with the Sylva. Therefore, he's not even qualified for him to take the issue to the courts. However, we are appealing. We are waiting for the judgment, and then we appeal on that issue.
The APC National Chairman, Abdullahi Ganduje, in that reaction. Meanwhile, Governor of Bayelsa State, Senator Doye Diri, said that he is not at loggerheads with the APC candidate, or APC rather, as a party, or is against the character of his governorship candidate, Mr. Timipre Sylva, who is described as a serial deceiver. The governor was speaking at the campaign rally in Albia local government area of the state. Take a listen to him.
The man who gave out oil wells as minister to everybody outside Nigeria, there is no one from Bayelsa. The only one that we have in Atala oil, he collected it again. Is that the type of character you want? The man who has serially deceived Bayelsa people. Serially deceived Bayelsa people. And so, for us, that's why everybody who speaks is telling you that this is a battle between light and darkness.
All right. This is politics. You'll be hearing a whole lot of that. A lot of people pitching and, cajoling the people for themselves. But where does the APC go from here? The election is just almost a month away, 11th November. That is when the people of the state will be able to elect, in these 3 states, elect their next governor. Don't forget that in Bayelsa, Imo, the governors there are hoping to get re-election. But in Kogi State, Governor Yaya Bello spent 2 terms, and a new governor, no matter what it is, will emerge in that state. Let's get APC's reaction quickly before we come back to our Abuja studio here to speak with the governorship candidate who is here with me. Let's speak with the APC National Publicity Secretary, Mr. Felix Moka, who joins us virtually from Lagos. Thank you so much, Felix, for joining us tonight. Give us an understanding where your party stands. Looks to me like lightning striking in the same spot twice.
Thank you, Shell, for having me. As our national chairman, Dr. Ganduje, remarked on your show a few minutes ago, of course, we are, disappointed at the judgment of the Federal High Court in Abuja regarding the disqualification by that court of our governorship candidate, Timipre Sylva of Bayelsa. Now, but of course, when you have an election situation, you have, contestants and people who jostle. But there's something very curious about this particular decision. This is not a legal challenge that was brought by someone who was himself qualified to interrogate the outcome of, the primaries in a party, or for that matter, to question the qualification of the candidate of our party in Bayelsa. This individual, now on the face of it, claims to be a member of the party, but our chapter of the party in Bayelsa have questioned his membership of the party. That's one. Secondly, the Electoral Act is very clear, Shehu. In several provisions, it makes clear that only the individuals, those who contest at the primaries for that particular office, have the local standard to challenge, the winner of that process. Now, this individual, who is the plaintiff in this matter, was not a contestant. So actually, he doesn't have the standing, the local standard to bring the action that he brought. So it's really curious how this court came about the decision that it reached. It ought to have simply ruled that this challenger, the plaintiff in that court, was not a contestant in that primary, and therefore not qualified to bring the action in the first place. So, but again, the lawyers on both sides for the party and for our candidate in Bayelsa have properly instructed the lawyers to bring diligent and expeditious appeal against the judgment of this court. So I understand that your party has officially filed an appeal, isn't it? Correct. All right. So are you worried about this scenario that your candidate has now been, over the time, subjected to legal scrutiny such that it is now becoming a trend? The last time it was David Lyon, on the eve of him being sworn in as governor, he was removed by the court. Now, it's happening again that your candidate, Timi Presiva, is being removed by the court. He's only standing on one leg because he has the legal right as a citizen of Nigeria to appeal the judgment of a lower court to the higher court. It then means that the people who are voting will have their minds whether or not they should stick with your party because of these legal issues. Are you worried about that? So this is the intended outcome of the mischief workers in this matter. When you are in a political environment, I don't want to, cast aspersion on even the PDP in Bayelsa because of the kind of antics they do. This is simply a mercenary kind of lawsuit where those who are afraid of competing, in this case, Governor Diri, who is afraid of competing with His Excellency, Mr. Sylva, has gone to, procure someone to bring an action. But what is, regrettable is that the court, in fact, gave this decision. Like I said, there was no basis for it. But, we will test the strength of this judgment on appeal. So if you're looking at, Mr. Moka, as a lawyer, if you're looking at the locus of the person who has gone to court, what about the meat or the fact of the case? You remember the case of Goodluck Jonathan, and those who have said constitutionally, if Goodluck Jonathan had to recontest, he would have spent more than 8 years in office as stipulated by the Constitution, similar to the meat of the matter in which the court ruled on yesterday night. No, but see, when it comes to law, Sheung, as we have been told, even in the last, week of the contentions around some of the bogus allegations made by former Vice President, they've said, look, we will go to the Supreme Court to test the, proposition that the Supreme Court is not a court of trial. You see, when it comes to law, nothing is really infinitely set in stone. My point is that the starting point is the locus. If the person who is bringing a challenge is himself not qualified, there's no that court lacks jurisdiction. So the court in this instance had no jurisdiction to entertain this to begin with, because the person who is moving the court to act was not qualified. That's a preliminary issue that this court ought to have settled, prior to now. But I get your question, but I'm not going to go into that. But those are the issues which the lawyers, I am sure, on appeal will look at to see. I don't think that we should delineate the issues. Locus also is tied around the reasons why the petitioner is going to court. That is on technical grounds. But let's look at the meat of the matter, the facts of the matter. The fact of the matter is issues of constitutionality. Whether or not someone who has been sworn in twice
then can also get an oath of office a third time, and perhaps he spent 5 years. If he is sworn in, he would have spent almost 9 years or close to 10 years if he gets sworn in again. And these are constitutional issues. Is your party worried about it? And perhaps those who will ask the question, maybe your party has not done its due diligence and homework in selection of its candidate, and that's why you are being subjected every time to these shocks in the courtroom.
No, Sean, that's not exactly right. You know, when the Constitution says you cannot do more than 2 terms, you have to understand. In this case, I think Sylva may have done 5 years before he had to leave office. The point is that where is the justice in that? When also the same Constitution gives a governor or an elected official a right to 2 terms of at least 8 years, of 8 years certain, to rephrase, and then something goes on, and then that individual does 1 day, 4 years and 1 day, and then he's removed, and then he's barred from returning. What is the justice in that as well? You see, these are issues that have to be contested and tested by the courts. The courts must also find creative ways of going around the injustice that is occasioned by this construction of the Constitution, because it makes no sense that a day after you're sworn in, you're removed, and then you are barred from contesting. So the remainder of the 4 years that you didn't serve, it's lost for whatever reason. And the reason you didn't, serve may not actually be something that is your fault.
Oh dear. So, I mean, legally speaking, because law is also about contestation, debate for and against, and there are those who will say there are some former governors in states who their elections have been nullified. And based on that, you cannot really make a reference to them as being in office because the court has nullified them. So there are those who will also argue that Timothy Sylva's first oath of office was nullified since that term was nullified by the court. That means it does not hold water. Is that a ground that you think is speaking for your party?
No, certainly, Sean. That was the point I was making before I got disconnected. That this provision of our Constitution requires to be tested further, to be scrutinized by the courts in order to ensure that candidates who are caught in this predicament are not, dealt an unfair hand, if you will. There should be a way for the courts to look at the justice of the matter, to be able to, not just, exclude them because of whatever it was that, court shot the attempt. The point you're making is very valid, which is that if the courts, say you were never governor, and that's the reason you are not able to continue, why then are you not able to recontest, an election for that position? Those are legitimate questions that the courts, must answer. So, which is the reason in this case of Timothy Sylva, we are, launching an appeal, hoping that all of the arguments that, may be made, will be made before the courts, and then hopefully get them to, completely trash this decision, especially on the ground that the plaintiff was himself not qualified to bring that action. You can't change the law. That's what the law says. It's pretty clear. So for him to bring that action and for the court to entertain it, that was outside of the jurisdiction of that court. So we're hoping that an appeal court will, I think, do justice to this matter.
All right. So just to wrap up our conversation with you, so we established that there is an appeal. You are going ahead with your campaigns because you think that you have a chance. Those who will say that is that's a risk, isn't it? Because it can go anywhere, go up to Supreme Court, and at the last minute, the Supreme Court might say, but the judgment of the trial court, the first court of trial, is stands. But let me take you away from that and go to the fact that over the past few days and weeks, the issue of President Tinubu's certificate as being in there. But recently we saw that some of their supporters are talking about the records, academic records of the former vice president. And only recently, the son of the president, Seyi Tinubu, there's a lot of criticism about his trip to Kano when they saw him on a presidential jet. These are a whole lot of issues happening at the same time. Does your party have any response to some of these issues?
Yes, with respect to articles qualifications, look, they always say that those who live in glass houses, should not throw stones. The way and manner, the vengeance with which, Alhaji Abubakar waged this, crusade, if you will, against the president regarding his, qualifications from the Chicago State University, you would think that Atiku Abubakar himself was completely flawless. But as has been revealed now, this man we know as Atiku Abubakar, in his school certificate, has Sadiq Abubakar. Where does that come from? Where does it come from? And then, Dele Momodu was, I think on Twitter today, trying to explain that, oh, he used to be Sadiq, he did an affidavit and all that. Look, he's going to explain and explain, as they say, and, quite frankly, without any evidence. But look, on a more serious note, this is the reason some of us have come out to say, look, the school in Chicago has verified that this president attended their school and was a student. So we leave it at that. The matter is before the Supreme Court now. So I won't say more. Regarding the news that's making the round about Seyi Tinubu's, trip to Kano on board a presidential jet, I think that, part of the problem we're having with social media these days is that people report incompletely. They report completely without the context. Because people read that and say, oh, they think, oh, Tinubu Seyi just jumped on a plane and went to Kano. That's not what happened. That plane was conveying a number of dignitaries, including the Deputy Senate President and, I believe the Emir of Kano and a few other notable, senior citizens to that event. And he happened to be one of the, passengers on that plane. Now, Seyi is the son of the president. And everywhere in the world, the first family is accorded some level of, protection because they are dear to the president. Should anything, God forbid, happen to any one of them, how will the president be able to concentrate to do the job he's supposed to do? So everywhere, it's not just Nigeria, that privilege is extended to members of the first family, whether in the United States or in England and elsewhere, because of the very sensitive profile that's about them. So look, I think we need to again calm down and not pick on every thing we see to unnecessarily blow out of proportion, which I think is what is happening with this matter.
So I mean, that is a position of things because I was trying to make inquiries and get some thought from the villa about the situation, and we understand that, in fact, this in part, Seyi Tinubu himself actually had some meetings with the governor of Kano, said this is in part a polo tournament that some enthusiasts had to watch, and is in part some state functions and some political engagement. But now that you're telling us that it wasn't only the president on that flight, is that the standard procedure that the first family enjoys the kind of protection and the kind of logistics that the president enjoys? Is that the standard?
No, I'm not necessarily saying that, but I'm saying that where there is some confluence, where there's an activity in Kano, like you said, for so many important reasons, and other dignitaries are going. Once that plane is cleared to go, I don't see what is wrong with, the son of the president getting on the flight with these other dignitaries to Kano to attend, all of these events. What was he supposed to do? While the plane is there and there are seats on the flight, then because he's the son of the president, he must go to the commercial airport and board, a commercial plane to Kano. I think not. I think that, he is cleared. He has security clearance to be on that plane. And, he was on that plane, alongside other eminent Nigerians. And I don't think that, we should make any issue out of this.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Felix Smoker, for your time tonight. Thank you so much indeed for your time.